Hi, and welcome to Musicians Edition. I'm REESA, the flute instructor here, and today we're going to be comparing plastic flute versus plastic flute. This flute here is the Nuvo Flute. This here is the Guo Flute. Both are made out of plastic, both are very durable, priced differently, and they both have some differences. So if you're thinking about getting a plastic flute but aren't sure which one, let's take a look at the difference. So first, why don't we listen to them? So both sound like they're actual flutes, so that's a good thing. But to be honest, I think if we're actually listening to which one sounds better, this one resonates a little better. The Nuvo Flute sound just isn't nearly as strong. All right, but aside from sound itself, you might be wondering why this flute, the Guo Flute, over the Nuvo Flute, okay? Their price points are drastically different, roughly between $500 difference. The Guo Flute is more than the Nuvo Flute. All right, so first, the Nuvo Flute has prided themselves that you can play this flute in water and it's just fine. And from when we very first tested this flute, we confirmed it was true. You can play it in the pool, you can play it in the rain, you can play it in the lake, wherever. And it played strictly right off the bat, and it still plays today. And that's because the pads are made out of the silicone. Okay, so the water affects them not at all. Now, with the Guo Flute, you cannot do that. Some of the rods and the mechanisms and the springs are still made with the metal, so you cannot take this one in the water. I'm not sure what the pads are made out of this one. I know it's not the same padding from our regular flutes because I know that these pads are more durable than a regular flute. But don't take your Guo Flute in the water. All right? Now, when it comes to feel of the flute, both, I'm not gonna lie, both flutes, if you've been playing a regular flute, both flutes feel a little foreign and different. You know you're not playing a regular flute. Okay, both are very lightweight. I'm not sure officially which one is lighter, but if you were to ask me just by how I'm feeling right now, the Guo Flute feels lighter. Okay, but either way, they're both lighter than the standard flute. Okay, this one just feels funny to me, just the lip placement. When I'm bringing my flute up, I want to hold it here. But that's not where the lip plate is. Oop, I need to shift down just a little bit. And I'm not sure if that's just me and because the head joint, you know, normally we have some space for the top of the head joint and the lip plate. And this particular model doesn't have that space. So I'm not sure if it's a mind game or what, but I want to play here. But we do play here, which is fine. If you're seriously interested in getting a plastic flute, you'll get used to that feel. The keys do feel a little different too, particularly on the Guo Flute. It's going to be the thumb key. It feels a little different. And so does our index finger and our G sharp A flat key. And then the pinky on this one feels a little different too. I'm used to being a little more spread out. These seem to be a little more condensed than my other flutes. Once again, I'm not sure if it's just a mind thing or if that's how it actually is. But it does feel different, but if you're playing this on the daily, on the regular, you're gonna get used to it in no time and feel no difference. With the Nuvo Flute, this one also feels a little foreign, also in the thumb key, and all the keys in general, the mechanisms work a little differently. So it feels like I'm doing maybe a little more work. They just feel different. Just clamping down. It doesn't have the same feel. And also on this flute, it has certain places that, you know, my hand is supposed to rest here, my thumb is supposed to rest here. It tells me where things go. The Guo Flute does not. And that's because of who the flute is for. The Guo Flute is more for adults. The Nuvo Flute is more for children. Though, if you're thinking about the Nuvo Flute, as an adult, you can still get it. Just make sure that you get the student C flute. The other flutes are going to be much smaller because they're made for children. But yeah, these are for like absolute beginners and children. The Guo Flute is made for those who may already have been playing for a while and adults. That's also probably why there's a big price difference too. Children, adults. Okay? But both flutes have low maintenance. Neither of them need their yearly checkup. They both won't really need pad replacements. They're both great for if you're a clumsy player and you might drop or ding your flute all the time. Neither of these will ding. Okay? And so, also if you have like small children or anything and you're afraid that your kids will get into your instrument, not a problem with these flutes. Now another difference between these flutes, and I'm not sure if this makes a difference to you, but I do want to make a note of it just because it is a different. This flute, the Guo Flute, doesn't come in 3 pieces. It's technically 2. And when you purchase the flute, it already comes in 1. Okay? The tuning on the Guo Flute is a lot better, but you can take the head joint off. This part here is not plastic, but it's still very durable, okay? So this is the only piece that comes off. The foot joint is part of the flute. It does not come off. And yeah, for the most part, the tuning is already spot on with this flute. With the Nuvo Flute, this flute is like your standard flute. You got the foot joint here, got the foot joint, and you have the head joint as well. And the head joint is made out of plastic on this one, and it's got these little rings on them. Once again, because this one's made more for like hanging out in water and whatnot. But if you lose those, you might have a problem. You'll have to replace those. Not that that's a big deal. Okay, now I do own the Nuvo Flute. I've had it for a while, and they pretty much promote it as indestructible. Let me tell you something. When we had that hurricane, I thought it would be fun to play the flute in the dark, because what else are we gonna do? And I went to go get the flute. I knocked it off the flute wall here, and I broke the foot joint. Not that it's overly broken. I can still, for the most part, play it, but forget about playing any of the low notes. Like, I won't be able to play anything past low D. I won't be able to play anything lower than that because it doesn't work. This piece here doesn't snap in anymore. So, though they say it's virtually indestructible, the Nuvo Flute is not. It can be broken. So, still be careful with your flutes. All right, so if I were buying one flute over the other, oh, it's funny, there's a size difference between them. So I guess let's take a look at that. The Guo Flute is a little bit shorter than the Nuvo Flute too, though they're both in tune. I guess it has to do with the head joint. And another thing when it comes to feel for the Nuvo Flute versus the Guo Flute, the Nuvo Flute is thicker. in width here. And so when I'm holding the flute, it feels much thicker than your regular flute. The Guo flute, when it comes to its size and thickness, it feels more like the standard flute. Okay, it fits a lot better in the hand. I don't have to stretch it, which is weird because you would think the Nuvo flute would be skinnier because it's for kids. Whatever, I'm not the flute makers. So that's the difference between the two. Let's take a quick listen before we head out, just to listen again. I'm just gonna play some scales so we can hear the flute and the tone of the flute versus that's a nice song, that's nice, or whatever. Now to the Nuvo flute. Yeah, the Guo flute sounds a lot better, feels a lot better, in my opinion, is a lot better. All right, if you want to try out the Guo flute, you can from the Flute Center of New York. And just like the Nuvo flute, they come in different colors, so if pink's not your spiel, that's perfectly fine. There are other colors. Anyway, back to the Flute Center of New York. You could try this flute out for free. And with the code REESA, R-E-E-S-A, you'll get free shipping. That means your trial is absolutely free. And you'll get an extended trial period. If you have any other questions, comments, concerns about either one of these flutes or any other flute, let me know in the comments. While you're down there, don't forget to hit like, notify, and subscribe so you don't miss any of our other flute-related content. Thanks for joining, and until next time.